Hello, I'm back here again to talk about American domestic politics. Now I'm going to talk about a different Senate race, um, commenting on Michigan. Okay. And obviously, the two candidates left standing on the Democratic side. Well, on the Republican side, it's Mike Rogers unopposed. So you already know where you're going to get with Republicans. But the Democratic side right now it's between Abdul Saeed, the progressive candidate, the new face of new ideas and populist energy, similar to what Plattner had in Maine. Obviously, a far better candidate, though, no scandals, and has a very actual reputable background. Um, and then you got Haley Stevens, backed by all the establishment. Those are your two choices now in Maine Senate race. Obviously, I preferably would support Abdul Saeed. That's a no-brainer for me because he's going to effectively vote against funding money to Israel and all these stupid wars, and he's going to fund health care. He's actually going to fight for the things that people are looking for, especially of our political ilk on the left. So I'm fully supporting Abdul Saeed. I'm supporting him. But I want to talk about the fact that the true infraction in the Democratic Party in Michigan, because there were three candidates running, as we remember. There was State Senator Mallory McMoore, which I originally thought was going to be the favored candidate, only because I felt she fit the mold of where most Democratic voters are. She's not too far left, but she's not a corporatist either. She's not a conservative, moderate Democrat. She was actually pretty progressive. She was a pretty progressive Democrat. I think Mallory Moore would have been a great candidate. I personally think so. I think she was relatable. I think she had a lot of the right ideas in mind. Um, I personally thought she would have been the strongest candidate. And she did win a swing district in Michigan and stood for the state senate, and she got reelected every time. I mean, she was battle tested. But if you be fair, Haley Stevens was too. She won a conservative district. I mean, so I can understand the arguments come from all sides. What I will say is, she was the front runner in the race originally, similar to what Katie Porter was like in California running for governor. All right, but then you saw Katie Porter effectively foil out because she wasn't vetted. She was not truly vetted. She didn't know how to deal with the media. She was very edgy with everybody and wouldn't talk to anyone. Had a very negative attitude towards anybody and just didn't feel she had to be accountable to anything. So she effectively foiled out in the race and fell way down the polls. You know, so you saw the situation happen in California governor's race because I think Katie Porter, in a lot of ways, had the right ideals and platform in a lot of aspects until we really figured out who she was. But character does matter, like I said before. It does matter. Policy matters, but so does character. And we have to walk a happy balance with both. Obviously, the issue with Plattner, he's failed the character test. The issue with Katie Porter for governor, she failed the character test. Okay? She had a history of being abusive. She doesn't treat people well. That matters. Well, it's not necessarily the same for Mallory McMoore, who dropped out of the Michigan Senate race, is what I want to mention, because she eventually fell in the polls because she wasn't left wing enough for the progressive wing. She didn't meet the moment like Abdul Saeed did. He got a lot of endorsements and support. But so the establishment was back in Haley Stevens. But to be fair, Mallory Moore had a lot of support too. She had Elizabeth Warren and a lot of Maine U.S. senators backing her. A lot of U.S. senators around the country endorsed her. So they all had equal amounts of support. But I think what messed Mallory Moore up is she bought into conventional wisdom politics. She started on the right foot, but when push come to shove, she didn't take a position solidly on either side. So she didn't quite side with the Haley Stevens wing, but she also didn't side with the Saeed wing, a dual wing. Okay. So she lost her footing in the primary. She was kind of like the Elizabeth Warren in the race, basically, and the Kamala Harris's and the Pete Buttigieg. That's the bracket she fell on. But turns out, what I realized was I was wrong about is there's no real platform for that. Because at the end of the day, one or the other side is going to get support. So now, right now, you're seeing it right now. It's almost 50-50 right now in the Senate race between these two right now. Okay. But she kept playing this game where she wanted to have her foot in both camps and effectively ruined her campaign. And it's not due to a character thing. I don't think her character is bad. I don't get that impression at all. I think she would be great running for another office. I don't think this is the last we're going to see of Mallory McMoore by any measure, But she just didn't meet the moment with the choices that were in front of people. And the mistake she made was going after the far left for her own base. Because a lot of those left progressives were backing her. And a lot of them were also backing Abdul. And some of the moderate Democrats were backing her too, which would end up going to Haley Stevens now. But what also happened was she went out of her way to go after the left. That foiled her campaign. That's the same thing that happened to Elizabeth Warren when she ran for president in 2020. She went after Bernie Sanders in such an ugly way that it turned a lot of voters away from her. Okay. Well, Mallory McMoore did the same thing against Abdul. And it made a lot of people mad. She went after him based on his religion, based on his identity. She attacked him to his ties to Hassan Piker, that influencer on YouTube, which if she effectively elevated Hassan Piker by attacking him, who she didn't realize the popularity that his type of politics really carried. Because again, most Democrats are out of touch with social media. They don't get it. Sometimes they don't understand where the energy's really at. Well, she punched left. That destroyed her campaign for Senate. It destroyed it. Because in the beginning, she was the favorite. She was actually the favorite to win the Senate nomination. Because she met the happy balance of both wings of the party. And she seemed like the kind of candidate that could unite the far left, the progressive populist left, along with the more moderate left. To me, I thought it made sense at the time. Of course, I preferred Abdul because he's more progressive. And you know where he stands. And he has this populist energy about him. And he's just sharp as a tack. I mean, let's just be honest. I predict he's effectively going to win this primary for the Senate. And it shows in the general election he's the best performing Democrat against Mike Rogers. It's just fact. He's just the right person for the moment. That's just reality. And not to say Mallory McMoore wouldn't have been a good candidate. I think she would have been. But I think she made a lot of dumb political calculations when she ran for this office. But again, there's always time to learn, grow, and heal, and evolve as a person. Again, I don't rule any of these people out if they don't win one election. I think they still have a political future. I don't hold out the belief that Mallory McMoore is done with her political career. She's not done by any measure. She has a lot of potential, but I think she made some dumb political choices when she ran for Senate. And it effectively foiled her campaign. But it is what it is. But one thing I acknowledge about her and what I kind of admired about her, the way she handled this though, she did effectively drop out because she knew there was no chance for her to win, which was the right thing to do at this point, because considering how divided the party is right now between the two candidates right now standing, she knew she didn't have a lane left in this election. So she did the right thing and dropped out. I don't expect her to endorse either candidate for Senate, though. I don't think she will. Because I think she just feels like she's going to feel the division more. But people also can read the room right now, including her and everybody else within the Democratic Party. They can see what's happening now at this point. So some people are going to stay surprisingly quiet, because they don't want to destroy their political brand. But anyway, that's all I want to say in this video here. Again, I love y'all. See y'all later. Goodbye.